This week we're out on the road with some Ashville drivers to see what their day is like. We begin plastering at the refurbishment project, and there's a historic Ashville Story Time where I tell you about the worst thing that had ever happened to me in business at that time. I'm Daniel and it's Ashville Weekly episode 186. It's Monday morning and I'm in the yard, the new yard. A couple of weeks back, you saw me in Dubai on a construction site and it was nice and bright, the sun was shining. A couple of days after that, you saw how much it was raining. Now that site was flooded, but they've managed to pump all the water out of it. And as you can see by these pictures, work has started again. Speaking of construction sites, this week we continue at the refurbishment project. In the kitchen, we are halfway through insulating between the rafters in the vaulted ceiling area. In the living room, we're boarding up external walls with 72mm insulated plasterboard using dot and dab. The master bedroom is all boarded up. We'll now tape all the joints and prepare for plaster. The loft is a soundproof room and all the ceilings on the first floor are built up of two 15mm soundboards. We needed to fit spotlights, so had to put holes in the ceiling. In an ideal world, we would use 15mm soundboard and build protection within the ceiling void, but we are very restricted on space. This is the fire hood which will sit on top of the spotlights. In some ways, it will double up for soundproofing also. We've not used these particular ones before, so we've created this to develop a better understanding. We are cutting ply to size and fitting in the window recess we have made for the curtains or blinds. This will be covered by a layer of plasterboard, but means there will be a firm area to fix for the installation of blinds or curtains. We continue with the plumbing, as Chris fits a 15mm reducer to a 22mm elbow. He cleans the pipes, adds flux, heats, and solders them together. Eddie's going out of one of our drivers now and he's going to try and capture some of the work. We're going to continue to do this and hopefully we can show you a driver in each of the different types of lorries. I'd like to introduce Carl, who is in a tipper today.
When you're out on the road, you'd sort of become your own boss. Generally on the grab, this is easier, this is more relaxed. When it's raining, this is the one to be in because you ain't got to get out and get wet. It's made quite easy for you, like with these new pads, you come in the morning, all your work's there, you know what you're doing for the day and you can just go out and sort of crack on with your day's work.
I hope you slipped your disc when you don't do nothing.
When I don't do nothing, thank you. That's exactly what I need.
What will you do when you slipped your disc handing your money up trying to put your wallet? Man, your beard gone grey.
No, my beard hasn't gone grey, it's the light.
It's not the light, your beard's gone grey.
I was squatting yesterday and I just felt like an elastic band go ping.
That was your trousers. What's our firm doing today? You busy?
I've got a really important meeting in the new yard with the track engineers to agree on the build-up. There's a bit of worry that it's going to move. I have to be in that meeting. And then after that, I'll go and get a scan from somewhere and then work it out after that. I shouldn't even be standing, really.
You like my new office?
Your new office is fantastic, Michael.
Hayley Park's finest men.
If you're free, send a crane over to lift me in and out of my car when you get a chance, yeah?
I ain't got a crane big enough.
You ain't got a crane big enough. Very good, Michael. I'll see you later, mate. Because I need that loco to be able to uncouple, move onto this line and go up the top and push the wagons back in.
So when the train comes in,
yeah,
you'll unhook the engine.
Yeah.
You'll go through there, up to the buffer stop, down there and back out through the gate and come back in. Yeah. Now you just said, I think, he's going to push the train back then.
Yes.
So that the wagons end up there, I guess.
Correct.
Yeah.
You've got to make sure that to resist movement, you've got two items that are rolled. This is rolled and compacted as well as possible. And secondly, you've got a decent thickness on your slab with mesh in the top and bottom to resist any kind of...
We are suggesting the mesh.
Yeah, top and bottom.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean,
This is obviously compacted.
everywhere else we've got 175mm concrete.
There's 200 type 1, 200 ballast. That's my understanding.
You can't get rid of the risk completely, but you've limited
And we
the
do
risk
it
as much as possible.
Track meeting finished. Went very well. We now have a plan in place. The concrete has got thicker with mesh at the top and bottom, around a 255mm slab. There's no way to eradicate cracking completely. There will be some small cracks here and there, but as long as we don't get big cracks and chunks that are going to be falling off it, and we're going to be pouring a C50 concrete, which is extremely strong. My friend Owen at MP Moran's has just confirmed the MP Moran trade day at Watford on Tuesday the 14th, which is quite a long way away, but this is 2 weeks behind. So I think you're watching this on Sunday and it's on Tuesday. It's something that Ashville may look at doing in the future for all of our customers. It's a day where all the suppliers get together, the customers get together, they come down, have a cup of coffee. I think they're doing some rolls, and you get to know everyone a little bit better, and you learn the rest of the offering which MP Moran can provide. So I'm gonna head down there myself, and maybe I can learn a thing or two. And I think I will also give Owen some stick while I'm there, make his job that bit more difficult. That's it for Monday. It's Tuesday. I'm in the yard. These 2 volleys are getting ready to go out. We may have a record-breaking day on Thursday. We have a massive concrete pour. The last time we did it, Terry was on holiday. Click here to watch that weekly episode when I was on 2 phones trying to get this massive concrete pour done, and we ran out of water. We have our second water tank down the bottom in this yard now. Each volumetric takes 2,000 litres of water. If they all fill up the night before, and this tank, which is 17,000 litres, and the other tank, which is 20,000 litres, all fill overnight, we should have enough to do the 250 metre pour, plus the other little jobs we've got. This morning, I was on a Zoom with the team at HS2, and we've come to an agreement. We're gonna have access on an intimate level. Like the Journey of a Rock video, click here to watch that video where we go into the engineering and we have all the facts and figures. A lot of people I know are against HS2, and there's negative stigma attached around it. It's now been shortened, and the fact is there's a lot of engineering which is amazing, which I want to showcase, and the green energy trains, what go 200 miles an hour, are actually being built in the UK. The time now is 1:45. I've got a Zoom at 2 o'clock. The yard is busy. We're getting busier. Look at that Ashville bulk bag stock. The site goes through a lot of material and always make sure they have reserves as a contingency. So Ben is here to provide a top-up.
So we've got Liebherr in the yard, the 586 loading shovel, which is the big one that we use for most of the loading of the lorries, moving the material when the trains are in. Developed a fault on the transmission back end of last week. When they were putting it into drive or reverse, they had no drive and it said the transmission was slipping. Apparently the Liebherr 586s have got 3 different clutches on them. It's showing slipping on clutch 3 when it's in automatic, which is what we use it in 100% of the time. When the engineers put it into manual mode, it's showing that clutch 2 is slipping. So he needs to do some further investigation to find out whether it's a sensor between the manual and automatic drive, or whether it is clutch 2 or clutch 3 that needs replacing. He's a little bit concerned about the colour of the fluid that he drained out of it. He said it should be a lot lighter in colour than it is. Fingers crossed there's nothing too serious there, and it's just a case of having to drain the oil out and top it back up again with some fresh oil. But we wait to hear.
My townie did tell me a while ago that because of the age of our loading shovels and the hours on them, while the Liebherr kit is great kit, that we're going to begin to have problems. Now, if the clutches start to go on that machine, we are in trouble. And once one goes, it can keep happening, and it can be very expensive. Now, I've looked into new shovels, but I'm thinking to myself, are we going to go down the dual fuel route and have one which using diesel and electric? Or is that just a gimmick at this stage? Then again, do we need 2 shovels? And if you click here to watch a video, I'm trying to plan for the future and not get involved in gimmicks. And I was asked a question earlier about autonomous. I can categorically tell you there will be no autonomous shovel or digger in any Ashville yard. For me, they've got a long way to go and I don't believe they're safe. And there'll be no Ashville lorry on the road which is autonomous either. Hard decisions to make on this plant and machinery. And another hard decision, Terry has had to take the hard line with a few members of staff who were continually coming in late. He's gave them multiple chances and he had to send them home. When they're in, they do their job, they're pleasant, you like them on a personal level, and you don't want to have to take the hard line with people. But if people aren't turning up to work, you're not setting an example for the rest of your staff, and it's not fair on the rest of your staff, and you don't want it to continue. So unfortunately, sometimes after you give people a couple of warnings, you have to take the hard line, and you hope they learn from it, and if they don't, as much as you like them, then you have to part company. And that's it for Tuesday. It's Wednesday, we're in the yard. We had a bit of a delay on the roll-on, roll-off sheeting system. When we contacted they contacted us when they saw this in Weekly. We couldn't order it because this system was made bespoke, so they had to make it for us. But one of the arms they sent, there was an error with it. It was 4 inches too long. So that went on originally, and then we worked it out and had to take it off. And this new one, they made it and sprayed it black for us, and it arrived today. So we put the sheeting system back together. Now what we're doing is using the forklift to flip the sheeting system round to hold it in the air, so when Ben comes in, we can fit it back onto him. So this is box, this isn't solid. Hydraulic hoses run through here, they connect up there, they tuck in again, 2 of them connect to the ramp, and then they follow their way around. This is a very complicated sheeting system. When we go to fit it back on, you'll see the way this sheet kicks out so it can cover the 40-yard bins. I just had to send a couple of pictures to a client who asked us for some recycled type 1. We sent them all the certification, and there's no trust in this world. They didn't believe us, so we had to send a couple of pictures. So hopefully we can get onto that job. So we brought the lorry back and we started putting the sheeting system on, but we didn't realise the lorry had to go to Scania for a 6 weekly. But then we realised underneath there is a hose gone and there's a couple of fittings that needed to be changed as well. So the sheet is secure, it's gone to Scania. Hopefully after a checkup, it's fine, it comes back in the morning and then we're gonna finish the work on it. You saw me talk about our invoice finance facility and we were looking for a new partner who was gonna give us a new limit. We have a new limit, which has been doubled. We have an offer, which is fantastic. But when I started reading inside the terms and conditions, there was a condition which wasn't on the previous one, which for me wasn't right and didn't make sense. It said that if you weren't profitable, they could pull the facility and ask you to pay all the money back immediately. They are a very proactive, understanding and practical firm. So we're just talking through the clause because the clause doesn't really work for somebody with a group of companies. If you have a company in your group which is making a lot of money and it does well 1 year and you have another company that didn't do so well, you can share the losses of one company in your group with another company and therefore limit your taxable liability. So if you do this in your group and it means that one of the businesses isn't profitable, they can then pull your facility and tell you to pay back the 2.5 million quid when really you were profitable. So we're negotiating with them to bring it back to an EBITDA.
EBITDA.
We are nearly there. It has taken a while. In Weekly, a couple of weeks back, I told you about the major moment in Ashville that changed a lot. And I didn't think that Weekly was enough to share it in Weekly. So the standalone video is coming out tonight, but this is 2 weeks behind. I put out a post on Instagram this morning letting everybody know that at 7 p.m. tonight, the video was going to come out. And I was surprised by some of the phone calls I got by my friends within the industry saying that it was going around, people were sharing it and they were celebrating our apparent demise and downfall, and they always knew it was going to happen. I've lost everything! All that's a bit foreign to me. I don't understand how people, if something's happening to another firm or they're not doing well, people celebrate it. I'm the opposite. If I see people going skint and things going wrong left, right and centre, I think to myself, oh no, this is terrible. We're all gonna go that way. I look at people being successful and I say, that's good, they're busy. If they're busy, that means the industry is busy. We can also do more. It surprises me that people behave like that in this day and age. But what was funny is the comments. Derek Chisora, so long, pal. And Yanni, you had a good run. This time now the two of them know full well what the video is about and they're just trying to make it worse. But that post on Instagram was shared multiple times and it created a buzz, but not necessarily a buzz for the right reason. And that's it for Wednesday in the yard. It's Thursday morning. I'm in the yard, in the workshop. Yesterday, when we were trying to put the sheeting system back together, we damaged this ram a little bit, but we noticed there was a bit of a weep coming out of it and it was very stiff. We realized that there's a bit of a problem with the wiper seal. We've now managed to free it up by taking it apart, but when you're putting it back together, it's good practice to change that seal, which stops any dirt from going into the ram. Thankfully, when you take a close look at the inside of this once it's dismantled, it's not bent or scorched, so we can reuse it. Terry's talking to Transcover to try to get that wiper seal so we can take it apart again, put it back together, and then put it back on the lorry and hopefully at last get that sheeting system working again. It's really going down to the wire in the new yard. One of the problems we had was we needed an electrical upgrade. There wasn't enough power in the yard. We need about 800 kVA in order to run that yard if we're trying to future-proof for all the other kit that's going to go in there and the workshop. Just now, it landed in my inbox, and there's two things. One, I'm pleased because it's going to be in the exact same position as the current substation. I was worried that SSE were going to bring it in from somewhere else. We haven't been able to do any of the duct plans because we didn't know where the new power was going to come in, but now we do. The new power upgrade is not cheap, but for me, we estimated it was going to cost more. So if we accept this quotation from SSE, which we don't really have an option not to accept it because we need the power, it's £47,600 to upgrade the power. Now, while that may seem like a lot now, if that doesn't go in, you could of course try to run the yard the entire time on a generator. When you have a 50-year lease somewhere, you need to spend the money now to ensure that you're not going to be in trouble later and you're not trying to pull up all the slabs and run more cables. It's going to be very painful and expensive, and we're going to be under it for a few years, but once it's done, it's done. So I'm just waiting for my electrical engineer to confirm that it is in fact what I need before I get too carried away. And then I'm probably going to have to instruct SSE to get on with the work ASAP. I'm doing a couple of drawings here based on the plan, one for power and one for data. Now, the power is going to come from the main substation and go to smaller substations all around the yard. But then there's the data, all the turnstiles, all the offices, weighbridge, everywhere needs to be connected, and we're going to connect everything on fiber. We've been paying for really expensive cables in the video room. These Thunderbolt cables cost like £400 or £500 in order to communicate with the QNAP so the editors can edit live from the storage off the SSD drives. We're going to be fully up to date with the latest technology. I need to make sure that everything that is needed in that yard to work efficiently is done, and we're not trying to do a little bit, do a little bit, do a little bit, do a little bit. It's in there from day one. The date today is the 25th of April, and we are meant to be out of this yard on the 21st of June. We will be moving into the yard not nearly ready, but if the offices are up and running and the lorries can leave the yard clean and we have train tracks to offload the train, that is what we will have to work with at that stage. The big concrete pour I told you about, which was meant to happen today, what we were preparing for, got cancelled. I'm furious! Which is a shame. I thought that concrete was going to start kicking off and getting really busy again. However, Eddie did go out with Michael, the tipper driver, to see how his day was going. Michael has been loaded at site with some as-dug sand. We're tipping with material which is going to be recycled by washing and screening. We need to check the tail door multiple times throughout the day and after we tip each load to ensure it's clean so it can close properly and we don't take any loose, insecure debris onto the public highway. While checking the tail door, Michael has realised he has a bulb out. All our drivers carry bulbs in the cab of the lorry for such instances. We're not permitted to park up in the site, so Michael was pulled out and immediately pulled over to change the bulb. Eddie acts as a second pair of eyes while Michael was in the cab testing everything is working. And now we are good to go. If Michael was on his own, he would need to ask for assistance from a passerby. Back on the move, and we're being loaded for material to drop at a site. It's a highway project where they need the material in a very tight space. So Michael takes instructions from the site manager and tips very slowly.
Time is 8:36, last one in the yard. We tried again with a roll-on, roll-off to get it going by just putting it back together so it can go out and work. The trouble is the seal that we need is ordered internationally. It's going to take at least a week. So I think we're going to take the ram back off and we're going to send it to Kevin, the ram man, and see if he can repair it for us. Possibly Terry will go and drop it in the morning. You saw on Monday I had the back support on. I'm actually full of painkillers at the moment, which I hate to take, but the pain was unbearable. And apparently if I take the painkillers, then my muscles should relax. But at the moment, thankfully, it can't be a disc, because the last time I did my disc, I couldn't straighten my back at all, and I seem to be standing upright and I don't have the belt on today. Lastly, my townie brought this into the bay earlier, had a couple of small niggles on it. There were air leaks. He found the pipes, light fittings on the side, used some pop rivets to reattach the plates on the cyclist rails, and generally had a look around the lorry and shook the steering. So this lorry is good to go out again tomorrow morning. And that's it for Thursday in the yard.
It's Friday morning. I'm in the yard. Someone has made a fantastic suggestion, which I'm going to implement. Putting track rail in the new material bays in the new yard. They act as guidance for the bucket of the shovel so it doesn't dig away the concrete base over time. I think it looks fantastic. And speaking of track rail, the train has arrived.
Train offload is nearly complete and I'm jumping from pillar to post, trying to arrange all the bits in the new yard, trying to run the business on a day-to-day basis, but I'm so excited about the new yard that I have to make sure I don't get carried away. It reminds me of a time a long, long time ago, Ashville Story Time. Before I ever thought about having any lorries, we had a showroom on Kings Road in Chelsea and I wanted to create an Ashville Design Centre. I found some land which was in Essex and I wanted to build a multi-level building and I wanted to create somewhere where people could turn up and specify everything in their house. Now I know you have kitchen showrooms, bathroom showrooms, places to buy flooring. I would have had everything in one place, but the difference would have been it would have actually been a contracting company who would build it also. This would have been for end users who would like to build their properties or refurbish their properties, but also for developers who didn't want us to build it. They could come in and we could do large scale specification for multiple units. It didn't happen because the owner of the land pulled it from me at the last minute. And at the time, I remember being on the phone and pleading with him. I'll never forget this. He said to me,
"A young lad like you needs to be taught a lesson. No matter what you say, you'll never get this plot of land."
And if you have a look, I had done all the drawings and I'd spent all the money and I had already started planning because I didn't want any downtime. I didn't want it to complete and then
I apply for planning and then I wait and then I try to get partnerships in place for supply. So I was doing all the preparation work and I had already applied for planning while the sale was going through, which completely backfired. At the time, it was the worst thing in the world which happened. But when that fell through, that is when I bought my first lorry. Sometimes the things at the time which look to be the worst thing in the world sometimes turn out to be the best thing. I just had the artwork through for some Ashville fridge magnets. They're going to be at a very reasonable price. Trouble is, I'm not sure how many people still actually have fridges where you can attach those. Sometimes you can attach it to your oven. That's what I do at my house. I put them on the coffee. No, I got rid of the coffee machine. I got rid of the coffee machine because I put in place reverse osmosis to create clean drinking water, which is going to be a separate video. But do you guys have fridge magnets? And what do you think of these? And have a look at the back of it. It tells you about all the other Ashville merchandise which is available. And we now are going to do barcodes. So the barcode on the front takes you to the YouTube channel and the barcode on the back takes you to the This Is Ashville website. And then we're going to begin to have barcodes on the lorries. So if you ever see a lorry parked up, as long as it's not working, stay away from it because it's dangerous. But if it's parked up and it's not working, or you see one of the vans or pickups around, you can scan the barcode and it will give you some information on Ashville and take you to a link tree with all the various websites. At the refurbishment project today, a big day. We've been boarding up for a while, but we have begun at last the plastering. Friday night, 8:24 p.m. I'm just leaving the yard. It's another late one, but it's beginning to get brighter. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy being in the yard at this time of night. Keep telling you about the money we've been chasing, and it was moved to a court way up in Wales from the court in Uxbridge, and we put it into one of those map things to let us know. It's gonna take us 5 hours to get there. So we've asked if we can do it virtually, but let's throw my astronaut thing up here. This is me watching wherever the court is gonna be, and this is me landing on the moon, just in case the court was convened on the moon. Either way, I'm gonna be there. Earlier on, Ben went to collect 2 machines from a site. He collected a 13-ton digger, and then he collected this 9-ton dumper. Did you have much on?
Far away, SE23.
SE23?
Yeah.
How many meters?
It's supposed to be 14, I don't know. I think there's a case of them a bit over-ordering, panicking.
Oh, really?
They didn't want to order a load at 10, be like half a cube short and be all that way out there, needing a bit more.
How long did it take you to offload it?
In the pump.
Oh, it was into a pump?
Yeah.
Our pump?
No.
Oh.
40 minutes.
His own pump?
No, hired in one.
Oh, hired in one. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Boom or line?
No, line.
Line, and it wasn't ours. Oh, 10 meters. All right. In southeast, yeah? Okay. All right. What have you washed out and all that?
Yeah, done now, mate. Yeah.
All right, mate. Sweet. Thank you, Ollie. Saturday. We're in the yard. Ollie just got back. The time is 2 p.m. on the dot. A normal Saturday in the yard. It was remarkably unremarkable, but good thing we always do our checks on a Saturday, because the lads were checking the tipper out the front, and when we went to tighten up some of the wheel nuts, we noticed that 3 of them were spinning. So that lorry's going to be parked up. It won't be going out on Monday until we can get that fixed. Not a lot happening other than loading, maintenance, and a lot of paperwork. It's Sunday, and I'm in the yard. I had a visit from some close family friends from Wheel Rock Quarry in Laborie, St. Lucia. We showcased it a couple of weeks back. I showed you around the quarry, and downstairs they were blasting, crushing and selling stone, and upstairs they were selling eggs. There was one part of the story I wasn't able to show you, and that was where they load the barges. Fortunately, I have some pictures here to show you what will close that story arc. They were in London, and I brought them to the yard and showed them round, showed them our plans for the new yard and our existing yard, and gave them a little bit of a timeline on how I came to this point. They're basically family. In St. Lucia, you do not call your elders by their first name, and some of them went to school with my aunties and my mum, so they're basically my uncles. I'm gonna head back home now. I'm gonna do some emails to schedule them for Monday morning. I'm not gonna do them on Monday because there can be other work I'll do on Monday which will pop up, and then I'll be in a position to do it immediately and get ahead of the game. Do not leave for tomorrow what you can do today. And that's it for Ashville Weekly episode 186. Click here for the Ashville website. Click here to subscribe to our channel. Click down here to see an Ashville video you may not have seen before, and click down here for last week's episode, which was number 185. For this last bit, show some more pictures from the Wheel Rock Quarry. Put a slow zoom on them, a very slow one. Very good.